XOXO, got the girl. Pose. Good morning and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, I'm not sure how you got here, but certainly I'm glad you came. And if you are new here, well, you're in for a treat. All right, if you enjoy chaotic, frenetic energy and, you know, any of these things, then I suggest you go on ahead and subscribe, because if you don't, you won't figure out how I got this look. Just kidding, you're gonna watch the video and find out anyway, but I thought I'd try it. Today, we are gonna do something not really that different. I'm actually going to be doing a get ready with me, so if you wanna see how I got this look, stay tuned, and I will see you at the end, looking like this. All right, before I get started, in case I didn't say this in the intro, if I did, well, great job, future me. I am doing this video, I was inspired to do so by my dear friend Emily Hanhan. If you have not seen their video, Fat Liberation and the Intersectionality of Asexuality, I highly suggest you do, because it's a really good video and it inspired me to talk about kind of my own situation, because I feel like people have heard about it like randomly and a lot of times in lives, and I figured, why not just talk about it? So I am going to just be getting ready. Again, products will be in the description below if you are interested. They are affiliate links and they do make me some money. I'm sorry if it freaks you out, you know, just don't do it. It's okay. All right, let's get started, because I'm hot and I'm sweaty already. I'm already sweating. So one thing I've definitely had time to think about in 2020 is how I view sex and myself. Like, I've really had time to think about that in a way I didn't realize. And I know it's 2021 now, but I thought about this in 2020. Don't come for me in the comments about that. But even when I was dating, even when I was married, there was something that, like, I never really talked to people about. And let alone myself. So it's like, how could I talk to somebody when I wouldn't even talk to myself about it? So that's a fact. But the thing is, I realized this year specifically, after like mulling it over through 2020, that yeah, due to my sensory issues, I don't like you know, penetration, as T so lovingly puts it. I don't enjoy that. And I get so awkward and laugh when I'm like talking about some things like this, but it was always like 60% of it. The other 40% I had to realize is because for a lot of my experiences, I really just felt like an experiment and not a person. To me, I felt like by the time, so let me try to take it back. When I was in high school, I was in a small town in Texas called Abilene, and I was already not desirable there. I very quickly learned, you know, in America and the US that, you know, my skin tone and just black people in general, not particularly desirable for the population. So it was pretty easy for me to not date. I dated one person in high school, and that was because a lot of people pressured me into dating this person. He was a varsity football player, and I a, you know, lowly pep squad member, and also he was black. So there was a lot of pressure from all of my pep squad friends to date him, because he was not only a varsity football player, but most explicitly was because he was black and I was black. And there, you know, that was the kind of thing. Depending on if I put this other video up or not, I may be there, not this video, but I did another video talking about something similar, not this exact thing. Anyways, I did a video, and it depends on whether or not I get the ass to put that one up and feel comfortable doing it. But the point was, I felt very much like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to date this person, even though I really wasn't interested, and I promptly broke up with them in like a weird Dear John letter, because essentially I I agreed to go out with them, and then they tried to kiss me, and I was like, ooh, I'm not trying to grow up. Nope, nope, I'm good. Like it was a whole thing. I immediately backed off of that entire situation. It was like, no, please don't. I don't want to kiss. I'm still a teenager. Please let me continue my teenager life. Oop. And so I did kind of feel a certain type of way about it, where I was like, oh, well, I just don't really want this. And like I said, broke up with them and went on about my life. And then for the rest of high school, I didn't date, and that was my freshman year. There was nobody else I was interested in, number one. And then number two, I just truly felt like I wasn't desired. So there was like no reason for me to date or even bother to be interested in someone, because I pretty much understood that like that wasn't going to happen. That was just like not a thing that was going to take place for me, right? Nobody was going to date me, and that's fine. And at that point in time, I hadn't even fully realized the extent of my pan life. And so like I haven't fully realize the extent of my pan life. And since I hadn't done that, it was like, okay, well, it is what the fuck it is, right? It very much became like, it's okay, just live your life the way you want to, don't worry about it. And then it was time for college. And then in college is when things started changing, where, I was in Los Angeles. There were people who were attractive. They thought I was hot, and I was like, yes, I am hot. And so it was pretty easy for me to like, date, but I still wasn't really ready to like get down into the carrot taco situation. I was just kind of like, and I wasn't even sure I wanted to do that. And I don't even think I was really ready to kiss at that point in time. Like I had never been kissed. Like I still hadn't done that. So it was kind of weird for me to like go from being practically invisible in attraction to having like lots of dudes want to make out with me. And like that's when I discovered I really liked making out at the time. Like I used to. I don't know how, like it's kind of gross now. Like it actually kind of sicks me out. I have some germ issues that I'm not going to discuss in this video. But at the time I really enjoyed like a pretty hardcore mug down, and it was a good time. I was like, yeah, look at me, I'm fucking making out. And I think a lot of that had to do with like getting some self-confidence and having people find me attractive, like simultaneously kind of made me like into that. But I really still wasn't into engaging in sex. And then I finally, at age of 21, was like, okay, I've got to get rid of this. This has become too much. And so I did what I needed to do to like make that happen, because it had become stressful. I feel like virginity can become very stressful, especially in the early aughts and stuff. And I think just in general, I think a lot of people get stressed out by virginity because it's a lot of fucking responsibility that you're like holding on to, and you're not really sure why you're holding on to this responsibility. Yes, it's going to be purple. Leave me alone. Anyway, you're not exactly sure why you're holding on to all this responsibility, but like you are. So it's just very weird. It's a weird sensation, and you're always trying to figure out how to handle it and how to deal with it. And so like, yeah, I enjoyed like the makeout sessions and all that. And then I finally, engaged in the final act, the final countdown. I'm sorry. So I finally engaged in that. Now, first of all, it wasn't good with the first person because they were rude about my virginity, insisting like, because certain things didn't happen, like I didn't bleed, that obviously I was a liar. And it was like, yeah, get out of my house. And at that time I lived by myself because I was 21, and I had roommates, and that was disastrous for multiple reasons. Now I'm finding out that a large chunk of it, there are a few things of it, but a large chunk of it is my autism and my inability to deal with certain things. I did not know how to handle certain situations, and I didn't do them well. But then I was like, I had been kind of having like a bit of a hookup with someone else. So, I was like, hey, I did this thing and it was a mistake. Can you, help me rectify this mistake I made. And you know what? They did. They were kind enough to come through, rectify the mistake, and it wasn't bad. It was still a good time, but I was still kind of like, I don't know. I still felt like this is what everybody's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of had this weird sensation where I was like, so wait, this is what everybody is so eager to do? Like, I don't know about this. But, you know, I persevered because I'm not a quitter. And so I just kept doing it. And I don't like it for multiple sensory issues, and I don't want to gross anybody out, but I'm going to kind of start explaining some of the sensory issues I have problems with. One is the smell. I have a very intense scent memory, and I don't like it when people's smells commingle like that. It's not okay. I don't even like it sometimes when you hug somebody and like your perfume and their perfume or cologne or whatever mingles. I'm like, nope, these need to be two separate scents. Don't like it, not a good time. I'm angry about this situation. I know it's weird, but that's who I am as a person. Yeah, so I definitely don't like that. I don't like bodily fluids coming into contact. Ugh. It is not like it just that whole thing. I don't like the feeling of someone being in my body. I don't like it. I'm so sorry if this is graphic, y'all, but I don't like that feeling at all. It just like, it gives me like kind of a gross, like, please get out. And what's interesting is if I look back on a lot of my past experiences, I tend to discover that like I was constantly trying to like reject the carrot, like my body kept trying to shove it out. And you know, now I know why. It wasn't just the endometriosis, it was me. I was actually unaware of how disgusted I was by the situation. I just like didn't get it. I fully didn't understand that like I was grossed the fuck out. And so like my body in reaction would just be like, get it out. And then that was, most importantly, the noises. I can't handle that. I hate the sounds that the tango makes. I don't like it. It actually just sends me into another orbit, and I'm just like, oh, but have you tried music? I have. I still hate it. I can't get past all of those noises, and then it just like I can't focus on anything except for like how awful everything sounds. I don't like it, and I don't like the sensation of like sweaty bodies sliding against one another. Listen, I told y'all, like, listen. And so like those are just some of the many issues I have, and I won't get into any more because I'm already being weird enough and I don't want to make it worse. I understand if you are clicking on subscribe at this point. but I just began to like kind of realize that, and even when I was married, I kind of more or less started getting more and more into just like not doing it at all, like finding ways around it. And at the time I didn't understand like how it was that I could just like go get my toy and be like, yes, because it made me feel weird that like I enjoyed the Big O, but I was just like, I just don't want you in me. I don't want you looking at me. This is weird for me. I don't enjoy it. And I couldn't understand that. And then came the terms of, asexuality, and I thought maybe that might be the issue. But going back in the long circular form that I tell every story, so I hope that you're able to follow along, and if not, I completely understand, and I'm not sorry I'm like this. But I kept doing this thing that I didn't particularly enjoy, and on top of doing this thing that I didn't particularly enjoy, I really began to have a very particular feeling about the people who were engaging in relations with me. I really just, the other 40% that wasn't, the 60% was sensory and, my autism, but the other 40% I truly believe is that I felt like an experiment. I did not feel like a human being that someone was engaging in activity with. More often than not, I just truly felt like it was yet another I've never been with a black girl person And I just started to feel a certain kind of way about like even bothering. Because even if they don't say it out loud, there's a particular like, Black people know what I'm talking about, and persons of color know what I'm talking about. There is a particular look that these folks give you. Like it looks like, you know how when you haven't had like a dessert for a long time, I hate to like resort to food because as persons of color, we're always like compared to food. But you know how like you haven't had like a dessert or a meal in a really long time? And then you go to wherever you normally go to get it, right? And then you like, you get it and like they're bringing it, you order it and they bring it to your table and you're just like, oh my God, I haven't seen this in so long. I cannot wait for this. This is like gonna be amazing. It was like kind of like that look where I could just feel that they weren't into me. They were into the idea of like bagging a black chick. And honestly, as I got older, I really began to see and feel that sensation a lot more. And I just like kind of moved away from it. Like, I feel very confident that there was probably a time in my life that I understood that I was like more of an object and less of a person. And I feel like as I got older, and especially when I got divorced, I really saw that come true. Like I truly like saw that whole mentality come through. Like, oh, I'm not a person to them. I am just, and it's not the same as being a conquest. And I'm gonna say it. I don't care. It isn't the same as being a white conquest, because you're not just like dehumanized. And I mean that with my whole heart. Like, you aren't just dehumanized the way that people of color are. You realize very quickly that, like, they think that you're gonna do all of these freaky things in bed. They are curious about what it looks like what color it is. It's a very awkward, horrible, and dehumanizing experience. And it begins to just, like, make you feel some type of way. Which is why I don't know if I'm ever going to put this video up, but it's one of the reasons why I even said at one point where, like, if I ever date again, I'm certainly not going to date, I'm just probably not going to date a white person. I don't feel comfortable and confident that that is safe for me to do. And so, like, it led me kind of down this, like, really awful, like, an awful and good road of discovery. Like, for instance, I have been assaulted multiple times, and I reported none of them because it didn't make sense to do so, because I completely understood and today still understand how this system fails us, and I was uninterested in having my history dragged through a courtroom and being assaulted again and again. So I just went on with my life and learned how to deal with it and learned how to handle it emotionally, I guess. Maybe I didn't, who knows? But the point is, even without that, I felt very significant that, like, I wasn't a person to the people that I, spent time with. And I just feel like it's in my best interest to not do that. But it's very, like, it was weird because when I was watching Emily's video, I had to think about it because I was like, I don't do this either. Like, and it's not because I'm, necessarily asexual. I do enjoy I actually like to hug and hold hands and some closed mouth kissing. But I don't like to share spit, y'all. I don't like it. I know. It just gets weirder. The longer you talk to me, the stranger this whole situation gets. Let's move along. I certainly began to understand that, like, going forward, looking at my past experiences and just, like, seeing how differently I felt that I was treated, how much I just never felt like I was actually a person in their presence. Like, I just never felt like that. And for a long time I ignored that because I thought maybe I was just being overly sensitive. Maybe I was just doing the typical Audra thing where I was feeling everything too deeply. I'm getting shaky hand because I'm nervous because I'm talking about something like really intense, and that always stresses me out. And watching Emily's video just honestly like gave me pause and a little concern because I was like, oh yeah, because being unemployed like this tends to get you in spaces where you just really start thinking about your life, or at least I do. And I just did. And I sat and I was like, yeah, I don't even feel like my husband thought of me as like a human. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I was there. I think I was serving a purpose, but I don't think that I was like actually a human being to them. Like, I don't think that I was. And I don't feel like I was a human being to virtually anyone I dated. I feel like I was a fun experiment, not even just like, a hookup and then like run, but more like so black girls are just like everybody else experience. You know what I mean? Like, oh, there wasn't anything different. Like, after they had their fill of their like, circus experiment, then it was just like, okay, well, it's time for you to get out of my life. And I was like, oh, cool. Thanks, bro. All right. So I'm not going to say that, I'm never going to date again, or I'm, never going to engage in that kind of activity. But I think as far as it stands now, I'm definitely like leaning in the camp of stay the fuck out of the whole thing for me, because I just am tired. I'm going to be, if I'm not already when this video goes up, 41 years old. And the thought of doing another one of these like really weird relationships, I just love this green eyeliner. The thought of doing another one of these like awkward relationships where I have to like spend like a large amount of time. And again, like, that's why I say I won't date anybody who's not a person of color. And I may not even date anybody if they're not black. Like, that's where I am at this point now, because I don't think I want to experience those sensations again. And I think I'm like better off not doing that. You know what I mean? I think it's smarter, and I think it's safer. It's safer for my emotional well-being. And I feel like I got more comfortable to talk about this because of Emily being so open and vulnerable and talking about it. And also because of other black people on TikTok, black women specifically, talking about, how much more different it is to be a black woman and dating, and all of the minefields that we have to go through to like even see if a person is worth our time and worth dating. It's actually quite scary, I don't think I have the energy anymore that I had when I was young to believe in the good in people and try and hope that things will go well. And I don't want to be a person who, after having gained, my hard-earned love of being black, which was really hard won. It took a long time for me to be comfortable in my skin as a black person. And, I was fine until I got to America. Let me just tell you that. I was fine till I got here. But now that I have that sensation and I'm very pro-black, I don't think that I could be with somebody who couldn't match that energy. I couldn't be with someone who doesn't match that energy. I will say that my experiences with women don't really extend to that. Like, they're not vast enough for me to have experienced it, but I did not experience that when dating women of all shapes and sizes and colors. So I just never ran into that with women. It was more a uniquely male thing. I think that seeing all of these people discuss their experiences with how they view themselves in the dating market and sexually and all that stuff is actually really helpful. it has been immensely helpful to me because I've been able to just like kind of like do what I'm doing today, which is put it into words, realizing and understanding that like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, like I get it. I get why I wasn't particularly excited. And I feel like for a long time, like I would say things offhand. You know, now I say things kind of like offhand and be like, oh, well, you know, but now it's just like I'm ready to just say, like, I feel like for me, yeah, I have the sensory issues aspect of it, but most importantly, you know, I had to realize that it's like, it's more than that for me. It's the fact that I know that I am a Black person, and I know that there is an oddity and a curiosity about me in a weird way as a Black person, and you know, I don't know what I identify as. It's kind of whatever the fuck it is. But I understand that there's this odd curiosity, but the thing is, I'm not anybody's science experiment, and I'm not like for you to find out if you like this thing. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that going forward in this life of mine, I'm just now on a level where I realize, you know, I don't think anybody's gonna actually treat me like a human being in the respect of dating, and I'm kind of over it. And then, you know, even now, if I were to start dating, I would really have to bring in the conversation surrounding the fact that like I don't like the sensory sensations of sex. So it's like, maybe I would be interested, or maybe the sensory part wouldn't bother me near as much if, you know, I felt like a human being. But I don't, so it does. And I don't know if I'm ever gonna find out the difference there, because how am I supposed to? Like, I don't want to deal with it. All right, that is it. That's the video. I hope this wasn't too much of a downer for y'all, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna throw on some lipstick, and we're gonna look at the final look, and then we're gonna get out of here. All right, so that's it. That's the final look. That's the final video. It was a lot, and I am not apologetic for it at all. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it, and it would also help the algorithm goddess to like help push me along. And yeah, that's it. Until next time, you know what I'm about to say. Huge shout out to my patrons and spooky bays. Yeah. All right, it costs $0 to be kind, and it's so good for your soul, because if you don't take care of it, I'm sure as hell coming for yours. Until next time, XOXO. Got the girl. That went dark. I'm just blending this out some more right here, because like, wait, did I turn it off? Ooh. Ooh. Oh, I didn't realize. See, why do I take every like cute palette and turn it into like Vampira? Anyway. Oh, this is one of the first times I went ahead and used an eyeshadow as a highlighter, and baby, I'm not disappointed in my choices in life. Oh shit, I gotta go meet my mom.